Okay, so welcome everyone to the evening meditation, which is going to be followed by the Art of Letting Go Masterclass. Just to shake off any cobwebs of the day, first we're going to just do a meditation based on the 10-step letting go process, which I'm going to talk about during the presentation. So just making yourself comfortable, putting your phone on mute or silent, sitting comfortably in your favorite meditation posture. So that could be sitting with your feet shoulder width apart. Cup your hands in your lap, keep your back straight. You can also sit cross-legged, lotus or half lotus. Most people are sitting on a chair, is going to be good. And the only requirements are to make yourself comfortable so you don't get disturbed during the course of the meditation, and to keep your back straight, because we're going to be raising some energy up the spine as we go. So close your eyes, take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Breathing in, notice how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Squeeze your sphincter muscle. So that's the muscle you use to contract the flow of urine or squeeze the last drops out. Just drawing the energy up the spine into the crown of the head. Just pause at the top of the inhale. Smile. And just scan your minds. Just notice any thoughts or emotions going on, particularly anything that's negative in any way. Notice how that shows up physically. Maybe there's physical sensation associated with the emotions, a little bit of fear, anxiety, maybe some irritation, frustration, ranging to outright anger. Just take another sip of air and just kind of breathe into all of this. I want you to bring to mind any particular situation that's bothering you. So anything that's come up today, it could be something minor, it could be something a little bit more serious, apparently. And just really notice any thoughts and emotions going on. Just breathe into those. Nice deep breath in. Just create some awareness, some space around them. And just acknowledge that they're there. So part of the problem is that we suppress and repress negative emotions. So the first step in this 10-step letting go process is to acknowledge. They're there, you just notice them without any judgment, be aware of them, and exhale out the mouth. Just have a sense of letting go. Some of your interpretation, some of your attachment to these thoughts and emotions. So to help you do that, just remind yourself that it's all part of an illusion or a dream, however you want to phrase that. It's not real, it's not really happening in reality. So any emotions, any upset emotions, really just a reaction to nothing. And this might seem a bit impossible and incomprehensible to you, but it's just your ego's resistance to the truth. So just be willing to go there and say, no, this is just something of a dream. All we see or see is but a dream within a dream, said Edgar Allan Poe. So remind yourself of that. Take another deep breath in. Nice deep breath in through the nose. Coming up the lower stomach into your heart center. Put one hand in your heart. It might help you with the process, just to connect with your heart space. Squeeze the sphincter muscle. It's the muscle you use to contract the flow of urine. And just draw this life energy up the spine into your heart center, into the crown of your head. Pause at the top of the inhale. Take another sip of air in. Remember that whatever you're seeing is ultimately a projection of your mind. So it's coming from part of your mind which seems to be separate. It seems to have a separate identity. And out of this idea of separation comes all kinds of thoughts and emotions. So that could be fear. How's it going? We're just in the middle of a meditation, so just join in. So just noticing anything that's in your projection. So if you're feeling angry or upset about something, be sure that it's a projection of your own mind. That actually that anger or that fear is really in your own mind, and this situation is just showing you that it's there. In fact, doing this to yourself, of your own unconscious guilt that you've projected out into the illusion, the dream, and manifest in the form of the situation, and the person appears to be causing you to suffer and making you a victim. It's our own projections that lead to our perceptions of the world. Projection makes perception. So it's always you who are responsible for creating your reality. Just think that, breathe into that. Another sip of air and just have compassion. This is not an easy path. It's not an easy thing to do, to really look within at yourself and have compassion for your own mistakes, your own errors, whatever's going on in your life, difficulties, the hurdles, the obstacles. Having compassion for others starts with having compassion for yourself. Just an understanding that actually we're all doing our best. And even if that best isn't very good, absolutely, it's the best that you or whoever you're seeming to be judging can do at the time. It's in fact a cry for love. What people really need is your love rather than your judgment and condemnation. These only make the situation worse, and they strengthen your ego. Stop you from letting go of these destructive thoughts and emotions. Finding the underlying happiness. It is your natural state and right. So just breathing in again. Just feel the emotions. I want you to fully engage with these emotions that this particular situation brings up. Just for a few moments, 30 seconds, a minute. Just kind of breathe into them. Create some space, some openness. In your minds, it's a maximal inhale breath. And like the energy is rising up. And then you create some space in your mind just to observe. So do this in some detachment with it. Key is to feel them, but there's another part of your mind that's able to be in the observer place and just know that these, you don't have to take these seriously, but you can experience them just for a few seconds, maybe half a minute. So feel the fear or the anger, feel whatever the emotion is that this particular situation brings up for you. Feel these emotions evoked by the thoughts that you brought up. And step one, fully breathe into them if you need some help. And just notice the discomfort. So notice how it feels emotionally and how it feels physically. Maybe there's a knot in your stomach, a tightness in your chest, a dry mouth, sweaty palms, clenched jaw, clenched fists. The extreme nausea and panic attacks can come just from emotions and your thoughts. Now, having observed them and noticed that it's not very pleasant, you're just going to choose to let it go. So exhale, just blowing it all out. Imagine these are just leaving you like dark clouds, just letting go of all this dark energy and emotion. Letting it all go. So that's in the end all we can do, is we can let go of darkness. And when we do that, we invite the light in. So breathe in. Nice deep inhale through the nose. Notice how the stomach rises, the chest rises. Imagine you breathing this beautiful golden or white light into your stomach, blowing it up like a light-filled balloon into your heart center. It's filling your whole body, every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body is just filled with this beautiful golden or white light. Nowhere else to go, there's nothing else to do. Just breathe in the light. And in the light, no darkness can contain. So if there's any remaining part of this emotion, maybe you're feeling it physically somewhere, like in your stomach or your chest. Just imagine breathing in this brilliant golden or white light into those spots. Keep one hand in your heart center. Imagine every pore and every cell of your body, every muscle, every corner of your mind, every fiber of your being is infused with this light. It's light beyond all pain and beyond all darkness, in which pain and darkness in any form cannot exist. Just smile at that thought. So take another sip of air in, just bringing in the light of truth to dissipate the darkness. And as you exhale, it's going, and gone. From the lower stomach sharply into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. Just blow that darkness out. So you're completely empty. And in the emptiness, just for a few moments, sink into the peace, in the gap between breaths. You can really find transcendent peace. Breathe in again. Nice deep breath in through the nose. And I want you to just appreciate the perfection of the whole situation. Whatever this was, whatever thoughts and emotions came up, maybe you can start to see that it's really helped you to see and let go of your own pain and negativity. So appreciate the perfection in this apparently imperfect situation. Because it's brought your unconscious guilt, fear, anger, and whatever else, other ego emotions. It could have remained buried in your subconscious mind through your suppression or your repression of them to your awareness, so that you can release them and can become aware again of the perfect peace and the love and the joy that are your true nature and what you deserve to feel all the time. So just take another sip of air in and just feel that deservability. You're not worthless and undeserving as your ego wants you to believe. You are deserving of all peace, joy, happiness, love. You're a divine creation. You're an eternally loving presence. And so no darkness is warranted. There's no darkness in that presence. Your only job in this world is to become aware of the darkness and then let it go. In every situation that helps you do that is perfect in its apparent imperfection. So exhale on the truth of that. And just using the exhalation to sink a bit deeper into a stillness and a peace in your mind. And along with this comes gratitude. So just say to yourself, can you really be grateful to this person, people involved in the situation, to whoever was involved, for the part they played, even if that seemed to be hurtful, even if they seemingly did something that wasn't very nice to you or others. It was necessary to draw out the poison of the ego, to make you aware of it, so that you could let it go and collapse it, which is what you've just done. So actually, the people who push our buttons the most are the people we should be most grateful to. And now just breathe in again on this gratitude. Imagine, put one hand in your heart center, you're breathing in the very essence of love and gratitude into your heart center. Filling up every pore of your body, every cell, every muscle, every corner of your mind. And how you know you've been successful in letting go of forgiveness is the extent to which you can genuinely feel gratitude. You really feel grateful to this person or people for this situation. That's the question. If you find there's still some resentment, some anger, some negativity, then just notice that and let it go again with the breath. Each time you exhale, it's another chance to let go of what you're holding on to. So just letting it all go, releasing, and sinking into this place of total forgiveness and release. Say to yourself that you've totally forgiven or let go of the whole situation, the people involved in the situation, and yourself for the thoughts, words, and actions related to the situation. That it's been dissolved to the nothingness it was, and you and everyone else involved has been healed through your forgiveness. Say to yourself, it's an affirmation of this: I forgive you and whoever the person or people are involved, and I am forgiven completely. All is forgiven and released. We always are, have been, and always will be one self. So I love you unconditionally as myself, capital self. Now just rest in this peace that forgiveness brings for a minute of silence. There's nowhere else to go, there's nothing else to do, nothing else to think about for the next minute. Let's breathe, relax, be still. Smile. Feel the love and the peace and all the natural results of truly letting go, truly forgiving. Give yourself the next minute just to experience that. Fully watch your breath. Step back, watch your breath, and just sink in to this place of union, to this place of oneself, where we are one once again. In the next minute of silence. And so very gently just coming back into an awareness of the body and the breath. So when we enter the meditation, we come out of it. So breathing in, and count to 3 and open your eyes. So 1, breathe in, notice the stomach rising, the chest rising, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Feel the energy rising up the spine. Clench your sphincter muscle. Draw it up into the front of your head. Pause at the top of the inhale. Smile. Notice that peace and that stillness are still very much there. They haven't gone away. And then just exhale. Make a little sighing sound in the back of your throat as though you're fogging sunglasses, but you keep your mouth closed. Air flows out of the nostrils, the chest and the stomach suck back in. And you just come to rest at the bottom of the exhale. So that's 1, 2. While your attention is down in the groin area, just notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, feet touching the ground. Breathing in again. Notice maybe there's a subtle smell in your nose. It's like taste in your mouth. Notice what you hear in the surrounding environment. In a very calm, detached way. So just allowing whatever to be. There's a thunderstorm going on in the background here. So just observe that. There's no judgment of it. This should be or shouldn't be. Whatever's happening in your environment, just notice the sounds. And notice how they arise and then they subside. And so what you start paying more attention to when you practice directing your attention this way is the underlying ground of being. So this field of still awareness that is always there. Not judging your sense perceptions. Start going beyond those. This is how you become forgiving by default. How you let go of judgment by default. And so 3, open your eyes, just look around, noticing whatever you happen to see in the surrounding environment. So maybe there's some objects around you, animate or inanimate, natural or unnatural, doesn't matter, just allow your eyes to rest for a few seconds on each one. Don't name it or judge it or label it, and then move to something else. Just briefly let your eyes rest on that and then something else. There's no attempt to name or judge or label anything. And notice how peaceful it is and how restful it is when you do that. And so just as a practice from those staying for the art of letting go course in the Masterclass I'm going to be going through now, just try and stay in that nice, calm, empty, open, receptive state. Not a lot of thoughts, and just keep watching your breath. It's nice, deep, slow, rhythmical breaths in and out through the nose, and the stomach rises and the stomach falls. And that will keep you in a very calm and receptive state to absorb some of the ideas and information I'm going to be sharing with you over the next hour and a half or so. So thank you for the meditation. I'm going to bid farewell to those in the WhatsApp group. If you're out on YouTube, please do stick around for the Art of Letting Go Masterclass, which I'll be talking about how you can really apply some of these concepts and ideas in your daily life. And so looking forward to that. The Art of Letting Go Club members on WhatsApp, bye for now. I hope wishing you a very lovely evening, peaceful and lovely evening in the meantime. Okay. So let's just make sure everyone is still around. Everyone awake?
Yeah.
Great. And welcome, Corin.
Thank you.
Tilly, you still with us?
Hi, Johnny. Yeah, just I have to go. I'm really tired after clinic, so it was a lovely meditation. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Are you going to leave us then?
Yeah, I'm going to leave now, but I hope we join you for meditation again soon. It's really good. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. My pleasure. It's normally at 6:30
Yeah.
4:30 UK time in the evening.
I
4:30
did
UK.
try to log into the room at 6:30, but it said the meeting hadn't started at 6. It was a little
No,
after.
today it's a bit late. On Thursdays it's later, and Sundays we do an afternoon session instead.
Oh,
So
right. I'll try and keep track.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday it's
Yeah.
4:30 UK time. Friday 4:30 UK time. Saturday 4:30 UK time. Just Thursday is going to be a bit later because I run the masterclass, and then Sunday afternoon we do one session on Sunday starting at 12 UK time.
Oh, right. Okay. Thank you. I'll try and keep track with it all.
Okay.
Thanks, John.
Well, I send out messages about it on you're on one of the groups, on the WhatsApp group.
Yeah, I think I'm just finding it hard to keep up with everything at the moment. So yeah. Okay.
Thanks for joining.
See you,
All
everyone.
the best. Take care. Take care.
Yeah,
Thanks,
you take care too.
Okay, go well. Enjoy
Thanks.
Cyprus.
Oh, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so Karen and Olivier. I'm just going to share let's see if this works. I think I might need to stop and restart. So I'm just going to stop the share. And I'm going to share my screen again. Select actually, you know what we need to do? Just put it into slideshow mode. And then I'm just going to go into straight into the masterclass. As I said, if you've got any questions, can you all see the screen? Can you see the screen okay? All right, let's just unmute. Okay, just want to make sure you're all good.
Yes.
Okay, you can
Yeah,
see.
I tried to unmute, but you had muted me, so I couldn't unmute.
Okay.
So I started my video and I was giving you a thumbs up, but I don't know if you could see that.
Okay. You can see the screen okay, the presentation.
Yes. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Thanks.
Olivier, you good?
Yeah, I can see it.
You can see it. All right. Okay. So just gonna mute you. Oh, you just muted yourself. Okay. So that's great. All right. So welcome to this masterclass. Thank you for taking the time to join. I'm going to be going through quite a lot of information and some interesting concepts. As I said, if you've got any questions, just park them until the end, and we will have time for questions and answers. So this is sort of the full title of today's presentation. It's how to let go of any stressful thought or emotion in minutes, using 7 secret stress boosting, immune boosting techniques. Right. And ride the wild tiger of change to find authentic happiness, fulfilling flow, higher purpose, wonderful well-being, and thrive even in these turbulent times. I'll go through exactly what all of these things mean. Without spending a fortune on motivational books, workshops, personal coaching, and Sanitiser, that's my own sense of humor, for that, pills or psychotherapy bills. So we'll be covering all of that in today's presentation. So just to cover the kind of objectives and the structure, first I'm going to guide you through simple breath relaxation techniques and 10-step letting go process. We've already done that. The 10-step letting go process is really a summary of what is contained in A Course in Miracles. And I'm going to give you the instruction sheet that I briefly shared with you for this process, and the 30-minute guided meditation that will guide you through this 10-step letting go process set to music. Just as my way of saying thank you for attending this, if you stay till the very end of the session. So that's a little incentive. Hopefully you'll be very interested in what I'm sharing anyway, and you'll be riveted by it, so you won't want to go anywhere. But that's a little thank you that I'll give you at the end of this. I'm going to introduce myself and the Course in Miracles. If you're not familiar with the course, what that's all about, and share 3 life-changing principles and 7 secret stress-busting techniques that will help you to live them consistently. We'll talk about the 1 key skill that you need to master to allow your life to unfold miraculously. Explain how the Art of Letting Go course and program can help you to let go and experience these things I mentioned: authentic happiness, fulfilling flow, higher purpose, and wonderful well-being. And I'll talk a little bit about what those actually mean. And I'll tell you how and when you can start the course in the program. And then we'll have some questions and answers. So just going to share a little bit of my story, just 5 minutes to give you a little bit of background. I started, I guess, this spiritual journey I've been on when I was 12 years old. I think that was really when I started awakening to something else. It was quite a fortuitous situation for me anyway. My sister had got ill, and that wasn't very nice for her. But benefit for me was I got exposed to a lot of these kinds of books that you can see on the screen: motivational books, inspirational books, which are really teaching another way of thinking, another way of being, much more positive way than what I saw demonstrated by my father. He was a very conservative man. He was a school headmaster, been a teacher all his life, and very conservative by nature, very risk averse, and saying that basically played safe. And at the age of 13, I made a very conscious decision that I didn't want to be like that. And I said, you either become like your parents or you go the other way. Well, I took the other way. And this way of thinking, this lifestyle that was portrayed in these books was much more attractive to me. And so I decided to apply them in my life. And I was a pretty good junior squash player at the time. So I had this vision, this dream to become the world champion. I didn't think there was any merit in aiming for less than the best. You know, what the mind of man can conceive and believe it can achieve, according to Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. So, well, why not? Why can't I do it? I've got ability, I've got talent, I've got the desire. And so I set that as a goal at a pretty young age. And as happens in South Africa, you sort of expected to go to university. Probably if I was serious about that, I would have stopped my studies at matric level and just gone and played professional squash, because you sort of have to focus on these things. We're going to be number one in the world. But I did go to university. I studied a business science degree in Cape Town, and lost 4 pretty precious years of my career. And I carried on playing, but at the end of my 4-year stint, it became very clear that I had to make a choice. And if I was going to follow this dream, I needed to do that. Doing another 3 years of counting articles was not going to get me where I wanted to go. So much to my father's horror, I let go of that, of the counting and promising career in the corporate world, and decided to play professional squash. Went overseas, went to the UK, and started really pursuing this in earnest. But I guess my first major letting go experience came in my late 20s, when I'd had to leave the UK for visa reasons, and I'd come back to the UK, I'd come back to South Africa. And I was, I was still held on to this dream, but now I was kind of running out of time. I think it was 28 at the time, just sort of peak of your squash career between 25 and 30. That's when you peak in conventional terms, anyway. And I was nowhere near becoming world number one. I remember just one day losing to a chap who was in the top 20 in the country, he was a decent player, but he certainly wasn't a world beater in practice. And just sitting down afterwards and going, okay, you got to get real. This isn't going to happen. That you've got to face the reality that it's this lifelong dream that you've dedicated yourself to for the last 15 or so years is not going to happen. And that was a major letting go experience. I didn't really know what it was at the time, but it was an opportunity really to review my entire life, everything I'd thought and believed, these books that I'd read that I'd so believed in. I had to really question and say, well, maybe it's not entirely true, because I have conceived of this, I've really believed it, and it hasn't happened. So maybe there's something else. Maybe I'm missing something. I think that was really an opening into my spiritual path. It was just an opening into another dimension. And so I'd started meditating a few years earlier when I was in the UK. I think that helped. And then I started reading different kinds of books, books like The Power of Now, by Eckhart Tolle, Conversations with God, A New Earth, Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East, really talking about something entirely different. These were not books saying that you have to achieve, that you have to make stuff happen in the world, but your worth is dependent on what you do. They were books pointing to an inner dimension, a reality that's within you that is untouchable, that is worthy irrespective of what you do or don't do. In fact, it's way beyond action, it's way beyond cause and effect in this world. And I got very interested in these things. I remember reading The Power of Now, and I couldn't wait to read each chapter. I was like, wow, how can I have missed this my whole life? But actually, there's this thing called the now, and I've actually been in the past and the future my whole life. And I found that there was a conflict between the two ways of thinking, but eventually I had to choose. And I chose the spiritual path, saying, okay, actually, it makes much more sense that we are already whole, complete, and perfect, and everything is there in the now, that we don't actually have to do anything. We don't have to go and achieve and strive in order to be worthy. So most of these personal growth books are based on the idea that you're not quite good enough as you are, but if you do these various things and techniques, and you practice hard and you try really hard and you achieve things, then you will become more worthy and you'll become happy. That's sort of the underlying assumption. Whereas the spiritual teachings really say you're already whole, complete, and perfect. That's your natural state. You actually don't need to do anything except let go of the blocks to the awareness of that presence. It's very, very different, very, very fundamentally different philosophies. And ultimately, we have to choose between the two because they don't reconcile. So these books were, personal growth was a phase in my life that it took me to a point where I had to let it go and go beyond that into another dimension. I've been to the Tony Robbins seminars. I've been to exactly one of these. I was with someone in the crowd at this seminar in London with 4,000 people, and Tony's on stage and everyone's shouting and going crazy. And I was like, okay, it's very interesting, but I'm not sure this is the answer. This isn't really true empowerment. This is more like rah rah and hero worship. They were, he's sort of a god sitting there on stage. So I learned a lot from that. Pills, I've never really been partial to drugs or anything. The worst I've ever taken is a Panado, paracetamol. But that's clearly not the way. I know people who've been down that road, and it doesn't do good things to your mind. Someone who did the Art of Letting Go course earlier this year has been down the whole mental health road and the pills and whatever. She said, I'm just really sorry I ever took the first pill because it took me away from myself. It disempowered me and made me into a victim. And I actually had an experience last year working with a psychiatrist briefly. It didn't last too long, but it certainly gave me an insight into that world and that way of thinking. And in the end, I think we separated because we're like, okay, these really are not mutually compatible paths. The path of spiritual growth and going within and popping a pill to make you feel better are just completely at odds. And then there's psychotherapy, which at least is starting to talk about something within in the mind. But too often it just becomes rehashing the past, going over and over the past, talking about the personal self and the personal self's dramas and problems. And actually, there's a whole branch of psychology called transpersonal psychology, which is about transcending the personal. It goes to another dimension of yourself, your higher self, where that person who suffers and fears and gets anxious and needs psychotherapy simply disappears, it goes away. So that's clearly not the answer either, as I discovered in the course of my studies. And the answer really is who am I on a spiritual level? I'm just going to talk briefly about the rest of my path. So that's me as a young professional squash player. Actually, I think it was before I turned professional, but young up-and-coming squash player. That's me doing a retreat in Mozambique. So I spent many years, from about 2006 onwards, I came to the Course in Miracles, and I felt a real call to go out and teach it, along with some of the other things that I learned in small workshops and retreats. And I used to organize things in Mozambique, dolphin retreats in Mozambique, as well as doing things around the country and in South Africa. Did some things in the UK as well, just with mainly with small groups. So that's my wife. We're actually it's our anniversary yesterday. So this was about six years ago, I think, before we were married, 7 years ago, in London. It's Oxford Street. I went over to the UK to help a friend start a business in another industry entirely. It was energy industry, and he asked me to help him raise capital. But I felt like I needed some kind of shift, some kind of change after years of running these workshops and retreats, and that's how I came to meet my wife. She wasn't my wife then, obviously, and I moved in with her the day after I met her, which was very interesting, because I became a tenant, and so I guess we were fast track relationship. She was a Buddhist at the time, and we really connected on a spiritual level. That was the basis of our friendship initially. We then got married in 2015. I moved over to the UK, and we had a son. And I had to do something else. I was doing these small little workshops, breathwork and meditation workshops, and once a week we'd do something there, which is where I met Tilly, actually, in Shaftesbury. Tilly, you'll recognize that. That's used to be the yoga center, Shaftesbury. And but I found out that because I wasn't 100% focused on it anymore, I started losing my way. Found that I was really I got into doing card payments. I was in corporate finance, tried a lot of different things. It was a new country. I was basically reinventing myself. And the combination, I think, of all that change, the moving to a new country, getting married, having a child, and then starting a new career, all in the space of truly a year. All that change really precipitated some kind of midlife crisis, if you want to call it. But really, it was just was a massive letting go opportunity, just letting go of everything that I thought I knew up to that point, about who I was, what the world was for, what life was about. And what got me through that was the teachings of the Course in Miracles, and the other spiritual practices I did, like meditation, breathwork, because I've been doing that for about 20 years. But really, it was the teaching in the Course that started to really make sense. It started to hit home. After about 10 years of doing it, I really started to understand what it meant, what it was really saying, the depth and profundity of what it was saying. And so it was a major transformation experience. And I'd say the Course probably saved my life, literally. Who knows what I might have done if I hadn't had kind of a rock to hold on to. Here I am in corporate finance mode. That's me on the beach with my son in December last year in Durban. And just a couple of months ago, that's where I was. And during lockdown, I went to a place in the mountains. At the moment, I'm in Johannesburg, and who knows what's next. So that's a little bit of my story and how I come to be doing this. 2 years ago, in this, after sort of feeling like I was losing my way, I sat down with my wife and decided to start something where I could bring everything that I'd learned into a practical course that I could teach people online. So it was pre-COVID, but clearly it was obvious to me that online was the way to go, was the way to reach many people, irrespective of where they are. So Olivia, you in Rwanda, Cara and I in Johannesburg. We had got Tilly joining us in Cyprus. So the beauty of this technology is anywhere you are, you can be connecting and sharing and communicating. And I really saw the potential of it. So I spent the last 2.5 years really developing a course, and now it's developed into a 1-year program, which I'm going to explain, based on A Course in Miracles as sort of the central philosophy or teaching behind it. So I'm just going to talk a little bit more about what is A Course in Miracles, in case you're not sure. So on a practical level, it's a book, as I just showed you. It has 3 sections. There's a text that contains about 670 pages. That explains in detail the principles and philosophy in which the course is based. There's a 488-page workbook, which is made up of 365 daily lessons that are designed to systematically train your mind how to let go of its negativity, and so allow you to live in a miraculous state of mind. That's why it's called A Course in Miracles, and I call that state of mind flow. I'll talk more about what flow is shortly. There's a manual for teachers, which is much shorter. It's just some additional guidance and clarification of terms, so in a question and answer format. So it's a substantial volume. It's about 1,200 pages long, and then there's some supplements which make another sort of 150 to 100 pages. So it's a tome, and most people need some help in studying it. So how did it come about? Well, it was transmitted by Jesus. He identified himself at a very early stage as that to a lady named Helen Schuckman, who was a professor of psychology at the College of Physicians and Surgeons in New York City, part of Columbia University. So she was highly academic. She was atheistic. She was a psychologist. She was very much into the mind and the intellect. And how it came about was quite miraculous. So in April of 1965, her and her colleague, her boss actually, a guy by the name of William Thetford, who was the head of the department, were driving to yet another disciplinary hearing. So this was an environment that was full of a lot of conflict. There was a lot of personal agendas. People were fighting all the time. And so they had these disciplinary hearings regularly. And in frustration, he turned to her and he said to her, there must be a better way than this. Surely there's a better way than, all of this fighting and backstabbing and these disciplinary hearings regularly. And he and Helen had a lot of interpersonal conflict. So he expected her to kind of give some kind of derogatory remark, but she actually said, yes, I agree. There must be a better way, and I'll help you find it. And so in that moment, there was a meeting. There was a joining of minds in a common purpose to find a better way. And very soon after that, Helen began having dreams, very vivid dreams, in which she saw herself as a white priestess. She saw Jesus, and he started talking to her just in daily life. She's quite a highly strung woman. And he started just giving her some very helpful advice on, how to approach things, how to view things, how to let go of some of her stress and anxiety. And she confided in Bill. She said, this is what's happening. He said, well, this has been known to happen. And so they both started researching sort of paranormal experiences and spiritual experiences. And then in October of that year, one night, this voice that spoke to her started saying over and over, this is the Course in Miracles, please take notes. And she was a bit freaked out, so she phoned Bill and she said, well, Bill, what do you think I should do? he said, well, Helen, why don't you just do what it says? Take notes, write down what it says, bring them into work in the morning, and we'll go through them and have a look at them. And so that's how it started. And what happened was a process of dictation over the course of the next 7 years, where just randomly this voice, which she described as a voice that was, it's like an inner dictation, and she just write it down longhand, and then it would do that for maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, sometimes an hour, and then it would go away, and it would pick up exactly where it left off the next day, or sometimes it took a little break, and that's how the course came to be scribed. And Helen would then take her longhand notes in, and she would read them out to Bill, and he would type them up. And so that's how the course came into being, the first draft of it, the first manuscript. And then there was something of a miracle in how it came to be published, because after 7 years, they'd finished it. Jesus had told them, okay, it's not finished. They said, should this be published? And he said, yes. But he said, and they said, how? He said, well, I'll guide you to a woman who's going to help you. And a few days after that, Bill Thetford was sitting in an auditorium, and he was listening to this woman by the name of Judy Scutch, who was a teacher, and she'd asked for help in her own life. She had quite a successful career, and she was married to a wealthy man, and she had everything materially, but she was spiritually empty. A few days before, she got on her knees and she said, "Help me! I need some guidance." And then she's busy giving this presentation, and suddenly she just starts saying stuff she doesn't even know what she's saying. And she's actually quoting from the Course in Miracles, except the course hasn't been quoted. It's never been published, and only Helen and Bill had seen it at that point. So Bill recognized that it was from the course, and he went up to her afterwards and he said, "This is who I am, and I think we should have a meeting." So he met with Helen and Bill and Judy met, and they then showed her the course. She said to Helen, "Oh, you've been hearing this voice, haven't you?" Without Helen even telling her what happened. So she was getting guidance. There was this guidance coming through from Jesus or the Holy Spirit. And she then saw the manuscript and she started publishing it. Just small little booklets, not officially publishing it. And so it got out very quickly. And then one night they had a meeting about how they were going to publish the book. And they asked, well, who should publish it? Jesus said the people who should publish it are the people who will dedicate their entire lives to it. And they'd been to a number of publishers, and they're like, well, what publisher is going to dedicate their entire lives to? And then it dawned on them that it was them. And he said to them, yes, that's correct, it is you, but first commit, give everything. And so Judy did that. And the next day, some guy from Mexico phoned and said, I've read this little booklet. One of the booklets had made its way down there. And he said, are you going to publish it? And she said, well, yes, actually, funny about that. We had a meeting about it yesterday, but we don't have the money. And he said, don't worry about that. He said, I just sold a piece of land and I'd like to donate the money to get this published. And the check's already in the mail. So it was a very kind of miraculous process that birthed the course, which is entirely appropriate given it was a Course in Miracles. But I hope that just gives you a bit of background on how it came about. And what it is, it's a systematic mind training course. It's designed to teach you a radically different way of thinking about and perceiving everything from a non-dual perspective. So it's a total reversal of the normal way of thinking and seeing the world. When I say radical, it means it goes to the very root of your perception, which is who you are, who's perceiving. And that's where the course is always taking you. It's designed to teach you how to forgive or to let go of every false belief, thought, and emotion that causes you and others to suffer. So it talks about forgiveness as its primary spiritual tool or technique. I just call that forgiveness letting go, because I think it's more descriptive of what actually happens. There's a lot of misunderstanding, as with a lot of spiritual terms, about what forgiveness really means. And it's a spiritual path that will allow you to live happily, peacefully, and lovingly. And all of that combined, I call the course calls miraculously, and there's another term for it, which is flow. in the world, but not be of the world, as Jesus said. Ultimately escape the world entirely. So it's setting the bar at the highest spiritual level, saying there is another dimension, another reality, and you're only going to find happiness and peace and love in this reality, so-called reality, if you can find that in your mind, and you can start to live through that and be guided by that. So some well-known students and teachers of the course, Marianne Williamson, you may have heard of her. She ran for the presidential candidate for the Democrats this year, which, as you know, didn't happen. She didn't succeed, but she's out there trying to do a bit on a bigger stage. Nelson Mandela didn't directly study the course, as far as I know, but he certainly read Marianne Williamson's book, because he quoted one of her favorite, one of the key sort of quotes from that on our deepest fear. Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. That famous quote. He quoted that when he came out of prison in 1990. So he was certainly influenced by her ideas and indirectly by the course's ideas. Oprah Winfrey has definitely studied the course. She's good friends with Marianne Williamson, as well as people like Eckhart Tolle, who are both studying the course. So she's Deepak Chopra is also a course student. Wayne Dyer, in his latter years, got into the course in a big way. Eckhart Tolle has started referring to the course quite a lot in his online videos. Michael Beckwith, and there's many others who've been influenced by the course in some way or another. So let me ask you a question. That's the introduction of it. Why are you here today? Just pause and reflect on that for a moment. It's a rhetorical question. Why have you taken a couple of hours of your valuable time to come and be here today? It must be because you're looking for something. So what is that? If you're going to put a word to it, you might think it's better health. You might think it's more wealth. It's better relationships, better quality of life, just relief from stress, anxiety, depression, illness, and disease. And none of those things are wrong in themselves, but they are really just means to an end. I think we want these things because what we're really looking for, in a word, is happiness. It's an underlying state in which we can just be happy as we are, in which the ravages of the modern world, anxiety and depression and disease and depression and all these things that seem to so negatively affect so many people's lives just really can't touch us. Whatever challenges we face, we do it happily. We do it in a state where we feel we're okay. We're okay. I'm okay. Other people are okay. To put a word to it, we can call it happiness. There's other words. You could call it peace. You could call it love. The words are just pointers to an inner state of really being okay and being happy as you are. So let me ask you another question. Why haven't you found lasting happiness yet? So you're here for a reason. There's obviously you're still seeking, still looking for something. Why haven't you found lasting happiness yet? Let's pause and think for a few moments on that. Maybe it's just because you're looking in the wrong place. If you keep looking in the wrong place, then it's guaranteed you're not going to find what you're looking for. So we think that we'll be happy when we have better or more health and fitness is a big one. So we're bombarded by these images of fit, healthy, sexy bodies in the media all the time. And we think that that's something to strive for. Money, of course, and the things that money can buy. Nice cars, a nice lifestyle, nice home, special relationships. So Mr. or Mrs. Right. Goes along with that is sex, It's a big one. It's used to sell an enormous amount of products and services, which sex has absolutely nothing to do with, as you should be aware. Travel on holidays. If that's your thing, then this year would have been a difficult year because we've all been locked down and not much travel has been allowed. And pleasurable experiences in one way or another. So we live in a society where we're encouraged to seek pleasure. There's always businesses that are willing to give us the experience we want, whether that's fine dining or travel or whatever pleasure means to you. And so it goes on, etc., etc. The truth is, none of those things is actually going to bring you permanent happiness. The best, they can bring you a temporary experience of some kind of satisfaction. But if you rely on the things themselves, on the experiences of these things to bring you happiness, you're always going to be disappointed because they are transient, they're temporary by definition. They come and they go, and they don't last. Some last a little bit longer than others, but sooner or later the holiday's going to be over, the orgasm's going to be over very quickly, the dinner's going to come to an end, even the things seemingly more permanent, lifestyle, nice houses, these things don't last. And I think a lot of people have found that. The financial stress that the lockdown has caused have made people really question what is valuable. All these things that I thought were so important really make me happy. I think the answer is clear. They won't. Because happiness isn't a goal in itself. This is a great quote from a little book printed in 1885. Some people say this is New Age. It's really not. It's been going on for hundreds, thousands of years. The search for happiness and meaning in life is probably the most ancient search that man has undertaken. So the quote says that happiness is just a butterfly, which when pursued is always just beyond your grasp, but which, if you will sit down quietly, may come and alight on you, which is a lovely quote because it's descriptive of exactly what I was talking about earlier. The spiritual path is one where you just accept what's already there. You can't really go and pursue happiness. In fact, the idea that you can is insane. The Declaration of Independence, the US Declaration of Independence, has in it that we declare these rights to be inalienable: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Not happiness itself. Well, look at the society it's come from. The pursuit of happiness. You're pursuing happiness, but never actually finding it. Because it's not outside of you. It's not something that you can really pursue and achieve as a goal. It's something that will come to you if you just sit quietly and meditate. Very ancient practice of meditation. Just this practice of sitting down quietly and allowing happiness to alight upon you. So where can you find authentic happiness then is the question. So I mentioned the idea of flow a bit earlier. So this is a quote by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, who is the founder of the idea of flow. Actually, it's a very old concept. It's been around for thousands of years, but he coined the term flow. He's written many books on it, and he's the world's leading expert on it. And this is what he had to say about it. To know oneself is the first step toward making flow a part of one's entire life. But just as there is no free lunch in the material economy, nothing comes free in the psychic one. If one is not willing to invest psychic energy in the internal reality of consciousness and instead squanders it in chasing external rewards, one loses mastery of one's life and ends up becoming a puppet of circumstances. So what he's saying there is that if we squander our attention, our life energy, our consciousness in chasing external rewards, we lose mastery and we become a puppet of circumstances. And if anything's COVID's taught us anything this year, it's that we can either be a victim or a puppet of circumstances, or we can choose to see it differently and start to take mastery of our life. If our locus of control, as it's called, is external, then we are going to be a puppet of circumstances, because circumstances change all the time. And what is good one day is not going to be good the next. Things shift and change. The only true source of happiness is internally, in a place within us where things don't change. Our true identity doesn't change. So that's a picture from the Matrix. You might recognize the scene. It's when Neo, that's the back of his head there, has gone to see the oracle for some guidance. And she just points him to that sign. She says, you know what that means? Temet noske. Know thyself. So that's what it comes down to. The ancient injunction to know thyself. Who am I really? And if I can really know myself, then my locus of control becomes internal, not external. Because who I am cannot be, there's another great line from the Matrix, where Neo asks Trinity on the way to the oracle, you know, what does that mean? That he's looking at all these things in his past life that aren't even real. And she said, it means that the Matrix cannot tell you who you are. It's another way of saying that. So what is the key to happiness then? It often relies just on the one character trait. I love this quote because it's so short and to the point. Self-discipline. It's all very well saying know thyself. But if we aren't disciplined enough to start consciously directing our attention within to finding who we really are, and we'll only ever find that inside of ourselves. Our attention is constantly squandered in this pursuit of happiness externally, then we will not find it. We will never find this elusive happiness. So that self-discipline to do what? Well, I call them key spiritual practices, including conscious breathing. So that's asanas, pranayama, pratyahara. So those names are the some of the 8 limbs of yoga. Familiar with yoga? A lot of people think yoga is just going to a class and stretching and being guided by a teacher. But actually, that's a very, very small portion of yoga. In fact, asana, the postures, were originally designed for meditation. And the physical postures where you move your body and you exercise only came much later in the yogic tradition. The original asana was a meditation posture. Pranayama is breath control and breath discipline. Pratyahara is withdrawal of the senses. So going within, saying, I'm going to withdraw my attention from the external world. So conscious breathing entails all of that. Multi-dimensional meditation is the second one. So that's all of the first ones. That's asanas, pranayama, pratyahara, as well as dharana and dhyana. So dharana is just going within in a focused way, meditating on something. So meditating on a thought, we can meditate on an object, like a candle flame, for instance. And then dhyana is the next stage of meditation. You go much deeper, as an extended period of just deep meditative absorption, where you go completely into a state of one, thinking about one thing. So those are the stages of meditation: pratyahara, dharana, dhyana. Asanas preps you for meditation. Yoga was originally a meditative practice designed to bring you to the state of samadhi or enlightenment. And there were 8 sort of limbs, 8 paths. So all I've done is created, these various key spiritual practices and put them in a program that incorporates all the ancient yogic techniques. Yoga's, this was written down by Patanjali about 2,000 years ago. He formalized this system of yoga, but it's actually been going much longer. It's thousands of years old. Probably the world's first personal growth, spiritual growth system. So forgiveness or letting go, that entails the yamas and the niyamas. So those are just assertions of what you shouldn't do and what you should do. Physical observances. So not, for instance, not judging, not coveting, not being greedy, etc. And the niyamas are things that you're prescribed to do. And then pratyahara is just withdrawing the senses again. Group discussion sessions. So that's niyama, or something called svadhyaya, which is really just the idea of study, going in and studying, but you're just studying in a group rather than individually. Reading and listening to spiritual texts. So that is what svadhyaya actually is. It's just reading of spiritual texts, whatever that may be. In this case, it's the Course in Miracles. In yoga, it was things like the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedas. But it's essentially the same teaching underlying it. It's just a Western version of that very ancient, non-dual, or Advaita. It was called Advaita Vedanta, which means not two, Advaita Vedanta, not two knowledge, knowledge of not two, knowledge of non-dual. End of day reflections, so that incorporates all the meditative practices, asanas, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, pre-bed relaxation, all of that, plus your dhyana, just going into these deep meditative states, which is what this yogic path recommended, in order to ultimately attain what they called samadhi, which just simply means a sameness. A state of mind where you can see everything as the same, as not separate, as one. And that's a picture of Jesus, who was someone who came to that awareness in his lifetime. There have been many others who have through these practices. It's very, I would say, impossible to get there unless you start training your mind to think differently and to perceive differently. And that's what yoga was an attempt to do. These key spiritual practices do exactly the same thing, just in maybe a more modern context. So I promised to talk about 3 secrets. That's the 7 secrets, 7 secret techniques that I promised to share. And I'm going to share these secrets of that I promised to share. First one is the key to authentic happiness. So there are a couple of basic premises just to look at. First of all, that happiness or unhappiness is always experienced in your own mind. And that is true. You can't experience happiness or unhappiness outside of yourself. It's always experienced as an inner experience. Your mind, your thoughts. So only your own negative thoughts and feelings can really make you unhappy. Things might happen to trigger those, but it's your perception, it's your choice to think those thoughts and feelings in response to what happens outside of you. It really causes you to be unhappy. Therefore, learning how to let go of your negative thoughts and emotions must be the key to your happiness. If the first 2 things are true, then that statement is true. You can dispute those, but you'll have a hard time justifying that happiness is outside of you, unhappiness is outside of you. And that only your own negative thoughts and feelings can make you unhappy, because nothing else is. The situation is just triggering those to arise. So just a little case study in this idea of authentic happiness, and that letting go is the key to it. So this is a story from the first Art of Letting Go course that I ran a couple of years ago now. This is Phil. Yeah, Phil was 80 at the time, and he'd been studying the Course in Miracles for 27 years at that time, so a lot longer than I'd been studying it. No pressure, but he chose to take the course, and this was his comment at the end of it. He said, "I've learned more about the course," he means Course in Miracles, in the last 6 weeks than in the last 27 years of studying. So we did the 6-week process I put together for the Art of Letting Go course, and that was one of his comments at the end. And he said that learning how to forgive truly was one of the key benefits that he got from the course. So Phil had a major breakthrough on the last day of the course after the holotropic breathing session, which I'll talk more about. It's just a meditative technique, but it's a very specific breathing practice that we do that takes you into an altered state of consciousness very quickly. So he did that, and then he repeated it the next morning. He did a bit of breathing and he listened to the music. And he sent me that on Saturday morning, 10:45, as you can see. just describing his experience. And just to summarize what he said, what he says in here, he said that he had some kind of issue with his parents, particularly his mother, and that they just weren't the perfect parents, and they weren't what he wanted them to be, and he sort of judged them. And he'd carried this his whole life. He said 80, so for 70 odd years, had carried this with him. And he said there was no real reason for it. They were actually really good people. They led a very respectable life, and his mother was really brilliant. She was good at what she did, and she taught high school English. She did book reviews. She wrote a weekly column in the main newspaper in the town where he lived, up in Rhodesia, as it was called then. He says, I wanted it to be something else. God only knows what. And so he replayed it and just started realizing in the replay how unfair and ungrateful he'd been, never acknowledging just how fortunate his life was. And it was then that he had a catharsis. He broke down, much as I described someone else's during the course, and he sobbed his heart out. In that long moment, he was able to forgive himself, and also to ask his parents, who were both obviously dead at that point, for their forgiveness. So I've been carrying this baggage around all my life at a huge cost. So just a great example of how this letting go process, forgiveness, can really work, and can help let go of a lifelong grievance, really, something that someone's been holding on to that's been sabotaging their happiness. As I said, a huge cost emotionally. So secret number 2, here's the key to fulfilling flow. So I mentioned the idea of flow earlier. I shared a quote, so I'm just going to talk a little bit more about what flow actually means. So how do you remain poised and enjoy the moment while taking positive action to respond to any situation appropriately? That's really the essence of flow. You're poised, you're calm, and you can enjoy the moment. You can really, it's very much in the now. You're not anywhere else, not past or future oriented. And you can take positive action. Often flow is characterized by a state where you're taking action and responding to whatever's happening. So another quote by Csikszentmihalyi is, when we act freely for the sake of action itself, rather than for ulterior motives, we learn to become more than what we were. Very interesting. I'll say it again. It's when we act freely for the sake of the action itself, rather than for ulterior motives, we learn to become more than what we were. So it's not about our ulterior motives. It's not about our ego's agenda of what it wants to seemingly get out of this as an end result. It's about acting in the moment just for the sake of the action itself. So you're doing something, you do it for the joy of doing the action, rather than for the external result. And I'm going to share an experience of flow that I had, which really illustrates this beautifully. So early in my professional squash career, I was in South Africa, in Joburg at the time, and I put a lot of pressure on myself in my first year, that I should be doing better than I was, should be beating anyone who's not professional, because in my mind it was all about the outcome and the result. And I didn't really know what I was doing at that point, so I hadn't come across these principles. And as a result, I didn't play very well. I wasn't playing good squash. I wasn't enjoying it, and so I lost to a guy who was a good older player. He was in his late 30s at the time. He'd been in the top 10 in the country in South Africa, but he was past that. And I played him in our club champs, and I'd lost him 3-love, which was, of course, very humiliating for my ego. And I was due to play him again in a league match. So we had 2 sides in the first league in Johannesburg, and I was his opposite number in the other side, and we were due to play obviously at the club. And I remember just being really freaked out, really stressed out about it, because it's like, can't lose, and I want to win, and I want to show everyone that I'm good enough, and my whole dreams on the line here, being world champion, and all this really ego stuff, as I realize now, just ego identification with the result caused me to experience a lot of fear and anxiety. So it wasn't shifting. It was late in the afternoon of that day. We were playing an evening match. My sister said to me, "Do you want to go for walks?" I was like, "Okay, I actually just I need to get out. I need to just drop some of the stuff." So I went for a walk. And it was a nice afternoon. We had a nice chat. I explained to her what I was experiencing. She said, "Well, why don't you just kind of let go of all this stuff and just enjoy it, because that's why you started playing in the first place." Which that made a lot of sense, but easier said than done. Somehow I managed to just let go of all those expectations and all the fear and anxiety, and I managed to just keep my mind blank for a few hours. I only went on court at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and I really didn't think at all. There's no thoughts about, I should or shouldn't be doing this, and I should be playing this way. Part of my mind was screaming, "Oh, you've got to plan your strategy, and you've got to know what you're going to do. You're going to get killed if you don't have any idea how you play." I wanted to control, but somehow I managed to just really let all that go, and I just went on and I played for the sake of the action itself. There was no ulterior motive. There was no I want to win, and something amazing happened. Exactly what Eckhart Tolle describes here. So I've shared this quote because it really explains beautifully what flow feels like. He says, "Artistic creation, sports, dance, teaching, counseling, mastery in any field of endeavor implies that the thinking mind is either no longer involved at all, or at least it's taking second place." Okay, so Colin's got to go. Okay, Colin, thanks. So there's no decision-making process anymore. Spontaneous right action happens, and you are not doing it. Mastery of life is the opposite of control. You become aligned with the greater consciousness. It acts, speaks, and does the works. And that's exactly what I experienced. This state where I was just in the moment, and it just happened spontaneously through me. There's no needing or wanting to do anything. And I played amazing. I had the best squash of my life. I won the match very easily. But it wasn't really about that. It was about the liberation from fear. It's about feeling liberated from that really dark, controlling, negative energy. And I never went back into that state again in my whole career, which was nice. It was a real breakthrough experience. And as I started to go more into spirituality, I started realizing that it was a spiritual experience. Didn't know at the time what had happened, but I think if it hadn't been for that, I might well not be doing what I'm currently doing and teaching this. So, and we see that we enjoy watching people like Roger Federer and sportsmen in action, because we're seeing flow in action, and there's something that inspires us about that. But that can happen in any situation. You don't have to be performing at a high level, because it's more about the experience. So this is another little case study. A guy called Vim, who did the first course, during the duration of the course, he posted this on the Facebook page, where just explained how he was playing his friend in a friendly tennis match, and because he wanted to win, he got extremely irritated and frustrated, and he played worse and worse, and it just became a very unpleasant experience. And looking back, I should have got a bit of perspective, taken some deep breaths, but he didn't. The ego got to him in that moment, and in the heat of the moment, he wanted to win, and he lost his temper. So I then shared exactly the story I've shared with him about my flow experience. I shared some breathing techniques, and to his credit, he applied it. And the next time he played, he kept that in mind. He centered himself, he breathed, and he experienced peace. He played a lot better, and he actually won the match. But as he said, I was in flow, I really enjoyed it, and I was at peace. I experienced God's pleasure in me that day. He's a chaplain in the army, so that's his way of expressing it. And he said, also, I can choose to let go of anger. And I learned I can choose to let go of anger, which doesn't work, and be at peace instead. So all the elements of flow of it, he did it for the sake of the activity, and it connected him. It taught him a very powerful lesson about himself. It revealed more of himself to himself, which is what it's all about. As Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi said, that's what flow is designed to do. So, secret number 3, moving swiftly on, the key to wonderful well-being is learning how to be happy and in flow in every aspect of your life, and live an extraordinary, ordinary life. It gives you and others miraculous experiences and results regularly. So this is putting it together. And there's happiness, there's flow, and you can live in this extraordinary way. It's ordinary life, don't have to do anything extraordinary, but it's a state of mind that you're in that will give you and others miraculous experiences and results regularly. So what are those experiences and results? Well, in Robin's case, it was peace, less anxiety. She started sleeping better after doing the course. So I don't take painkillers anymore, stress headaches, better relationships with my children. I'm not as frightened or worried. And that in 6 weeks. That was her experience, and that's largely continued. Robin has continued on the Art of Letting Go program. She's still a part of it, and it's transformed her life. But I'll let her tell the story of that. Just a quick video.
Hi, my name's Robin. I did the course last year with Jonathan. I'd never heard of the course before. Something entirely different to me, although I've been practicing meditation. I've been going to Breathworks for some time, trying genuinely to find peace. I'm a mum, I work, I've got a normal busy life. I've been plagued with headaches, I've been plagued with sore necks and the normal problems that people have. I found that through the course and joining the online community, I found a group of like-minded people all exploring the course. The course is fundamentally different. At first I thought it was all about religion, which it wasn't, although it is about God, and I do believe in God, and it made a great deal of sense in my life that the only thing is really that we concentrate on is God. It's about finding love. It's about being kinder to people. I still listen to the teachings every day. I've found that by listening to the teachings and following the book and reading, I have become more compassionate. I've become a nicer person. I feel less guilty. I feel that the world is a different place. I don't feel that the world is always a good place. It's not. But I believe that it impacts me less. I used to be traumatized by the world. I used to lie awake and worry about things that are happening in my children and my life, and worry about my past and worry about the future. I found that I've achieved a sense of peace. And if nothing else, I'm really grateful to Jono and the people I met on the course, because that sense of peace has helped me to heal many parts of my life. I no longer have headaches. I used to suffer with headaches. I used to have terrible neck pain that I was on painkillers on all the time. And honestly, those things have gone away. I don't take painkillers for my neck, and I don't have headaches anymore. My relationships with my children are much better, and my relationship with myself is a lot better. So in all, it's taken a lot of the jagged edges off of life, and it's just made life more bearable. And if you think about it, we're probably going to be here for a long time. So if it continues to get more and more bearable, and as I say, each day I learn a new lesson, and it does make life a little bit different and a little bit better, and I see things a little bit more clearly. And that to me has been the biggest gift of the course.
So hope you enjoyed that. It's Robin just telling us what she experienced. So just to summarize the 3 secrets. So secret number 1, the key to authentic happiness. How to let go of any negative thoughts or emotions, no matter how challenging the situation provoking them seems to be. Secret 2, the key to fulfilling flow, how to remain poised enjoy the moment while taking positive action to respond to any situation appropriately. And number 3, key to wonderful well-being, how to be happy and in flow. So the first 2 are precursors to the third one, obviously, in every aspect of your life. So it's all inclusive, and you live what I call an extraordinary, ordinary life. It gives you and others miraculous experiences and results regularly. And that's not necessarily anything on the level of form, although often amazing things can happen on the level of form, but it's more about your experience. So if you're experiencing it as a happy experience and you're in flow, then whatever the form is irrelevant, because actually the happiness and the flow are self-rewarding, self-fulfilling. So where to from here? I've shared a lot of information. Thank you for sticking with me. I'm going to be another about half an hour. So if Karen, if you're still there, if you can hang on for that time, that's great. I'll just go through what you can do about this. So learning new information is a necessary but not a sufficient step for a true transformation of mind to happen. And there's 2 ways to do this, to do true transformation. First of all, through intense pain and suffering. You're forced to go within and break through suddenly to a new level of understanding and wisdom. And that's the way of the cross. It's the old way of enlightenment. You've got to suffer, often greatly, and finally there's some kind of epiphany, some kind of waking up experience. I'll give you an example of that. Eckhart Tolle is a really good example. He had a pretty difficult life. He was a very stressed, anxious, worried person for his first 29 years of his life. And one night he was lying in bed and just going, I can't stand it anymore. I can't stand myself anymore. And because the emotional pain was so intense, he had the thought of, I can't stand myself. And it sort of split his mind. He realized there must be a true I, and then a self that's simply not true. And I guess because the pain was so extreme, it kind of cracked his mind open, and he felt like he was getting sucked into a vortex of energy. Okay, Tilly, thanks. And then he awoke. He woke up the next morning, and he was just, wow, I can do this. I can see the world completely differently, and he saw beauty, and he found peace. And of course, the rest is history. He's written books, and he's probably one of the world's best known spiritual teachers now. But that's quite unusual to do it so quickly. So second one is through conscious, disciplined practice of spiritual ideas and techniques, you systematically grow in understanding and wisdom, which is the way of mastery. And that's the way I'm talking about. So that's also a very ancient way. Yoga is part of that. There's been many spiritual paths, spiritual techniques, and approaches throughout history. A universal curriculum, really, that we're all on. It's just different forms of it. So the principles of transformation through mastery are understanding and realization through your personal experience. It does require your active willingness and your disciplined effort. Doing key spiritual practices regularly is essential. And it can be greatly facilitated by another person or group who help to raise the person's, like use spiritual language, the initiate's consciousness by transmitting positive energy and holding him or her accountable. And then there's this idea of immersion in these key spiritual practices in the positive field of consciousness that greatly accelerate it. So what is it? As an overview, it's a facilitated 6-week mind and life transformation process. It's based on the way of mastery, yoga and immersion learning, incorporates the 7 key spiritual practices and the 7 limbs of yoga. It's actually 8 limbs of yoga, but the 8th limb is samadhi, is an enlightenment experience. Key spiritual practices include live and recorded daily online meditations and discussion sessions, a 1-week breathwork course, self-study, and solo meditation. And the goal is to help you to learn to let go of fearful, stressful thoughts and emotions whenever they arise. So you can start consistently experiencing the secrets that I shared with you. So authentic happiness, you'll know how to let go of any negative thoughts or emotions, no matter how challenging the situation, provoking them appears to be, and choose to be happy instead. Doesn't mean it's always easy, but you will certainly know how to do it at the end of the course. So a little example of that, letting go happening. This is Debbie, who has been, she's a Course in Miracles group facilitator, and she's been doing the program for the last year. Helped me to see my subconscious patterns that stop me from doing things in my life that are good for me, like yoga, meditating, etc. That revelation has been huge. I'm very grateful that I did your course. It's given me a great deal to think about. The letting go process is taught to make forgiveness seem so simple. That was some more feedback. Learning how to forgive truly. That was Phil's feedback. Doing exercise 9. This is one of the exercises we did in the course, group exercise or the partner exercise, which we can actually do on Zoom, which is amazing. The technology is amazing. Experienced the feeling of expanding energy radiating from my heart center, which I've never experienced before. Energy felt like pure love, which was exhilarating to the point of me being wide awake all night. And a stunning experience, which will stay with me for the rest of my life. So that's Hazel. I think I missed one there. So it's like learning to sort out issues with another mind. It gives you peace within, no lingering guilt or resentment. So Label said that. So fulfilling flow is about remaining poised, enjoying the moment while taking positive action to respond to any situation appropriately. So there's an example. It's Lauren from the US, the first course. Just used her breathing, some of the breathing that I showed her to help her to cope with a stressful situation where she was preparing for a trip, and she just breathed her way through it. She said no mantras, no thoughts, just deep breaths. And I'd said that controlling the breath controls the mind. I lived on that yesterday. My mind was at peace. I did all I wanted to do with zero mental fuss or chatter. Peace is real for me these days. Thank you. And Marie, thanks for these breath breaks. So I send out these little recordings frequently in the day where you can do a little breath break. Sometimes it's as little as a couple of minutes, and that just breaks your state and puts you in a much more relaxed and connected state. And then wonderful well-being. Well, it's the combination of all of that. Start experiencing more happiness and flow in every aspect of your life and living this extraordinary, ordinary life that gives you and others, might make a contribution to others as well, through your own life, miraculous experiences and results regularly. So that's being in flow, happiness and peace, even under pressure. So that's from Martin, who's a CEO of a medium-sized company who had a situation during the course where a client got upset, put the phone down on him, and even he managed to find peace. And he realized that whether he'd apologized or not, the client did phone him and apologize, he would have found peace, whether or not that happened. Very powerful stuff, this. Filling flow in a sense of higher purpose. So Vim's experience of finding a sense of purpose and flow just in a very ordinary. And then well-being, all of that leads to a sense of well-being, thriving, true success, call it whatever you want. Because I think nothing has brought home the idea that conventional success in external terms doesn't really mean anything if you have no health than COVID. This year, I think people have already started to value the idea of being well, and that's the most important thing. And that is really what thriving. You can't thrive if you're not being well, and true success involves all of that. Whatever you do is secondary. And then Robin's experience, which is really that well-being. She found a much higher state of well-being through the course and helped her let go of a lot of the dysfunctions that her ego was presenting. So it's about being authentically happy, because you'll know how to let go of any negative thoughts or emotions, no matter how challenging the situation, provoking them appears to be, and just choose to be happy instead. You'll do your daily activities in flow, so you'll know how to remain poised and enjoy the moment while taking positive action to respond to any situation appropriately. And 3, you'll experience fulfillment, higher purpose, and wonderful well-being in your life. By experiencing happiness and flow in every aspect of your life, and living an extraordinary, ordinary life that gives you and others miraculous experiences and results regularly. So can you see why letting go is really the critical skill? Because it starts with letting go. If you can't let go of negativity, then you can't find authentic happiness. If there's no happiness as a base state, you can't find flow, you can't find any kind of sense of fulfillment, higher purpose, or well-being. They are predicated, they rest on the foundation of happiness and flow. Your purpose comes if you're happy and you're in flow. That's your purpose. And all of that combined creates a state of wonderful well-being, which is quite unusual in this world. There's not many people who live in, who have all this going from authentic happiness, flow, fulfillment, higher purpose, wonderful well-being. In fact, it's the exception rather than the norm. If you can't let go, then happiness doesn't happen. Then flow, by definition, is not possible. And none of these things are possible either. So these are the 7 key spiritual practices that are incorporated in the course. So you're going to do meditation. I give you a 1 hour or a 40-minute version of it, or a half-hour version of it. A guided letting go meditation that guides you through a letting go process. We also do 2 20 to 30-minute live guided meditations every day as well. So, and I send you 2 recordings sent daily via email and WhatsApp. There's forgiveness or letting go, and that's the 10-step letting go process, which is included in the guided letting go meditation. There's 5 other shorter letting go techniques in the course manual that I'll give you. There's breath and mind training breaks. So you'll get daily recorded anywhere between 2 and 10 minutes breath break sent via WhatsApp, combined with practicing the mind training lesson for the day in the Course in Miracles workbook that starts from week 2 onwards. Group discussion sessions. So there's discussion of ideas in the reading, plus there's a question and answer opportunity. And that's 1 or 2 pre-recorded sessions of about 90 minutes each, available Monday through Saturday. Plus there's 1 live 2-hour session every Sunday afternoon. So it's over 100 hours in total. There's a lot of content in there, which you can really get into. And the discussion session is a nicer way of learning. Instead of me just talking at you, it's much more interactive. People are asking questions, Q&A format. There's meditation involved in there. So reading. It's reading 1 lesson from the Course in Miracles workbook in the morning, plus another section of the Course in Miracles text. That's 2 to 4 pages every evening. Every evening there's an end-of-day reflection. I give you 4 powerful questions to ask yourself and answer at the end of every day. And there's a pre-bed relaxation, just to listen to a power sleep meditation track, which has got binaural beats in it before bed, while reading Course in Miracles, to help you fall asleep more easily and also sleep more deeply. So my idea is to help you to do all of those in a day, and that immerses you in these spiritual practices, and it creates a shift. It creates a change, which is just not possible if you do 1 or 2 hours a week. Doesn't matter how profound that information is. It's really about immersing yourself in a different experience. That's what the course is designed to give you. So in week 1, I'll introduce it. We'll explore the theory behind the Art of Letting Go course, which is the theory by and large of the Course in Miracles. We'll read and discuss the first chapter of the text in the Course in Miracles. We'll work through exercises 1 to 3 in the course manual, and you'll learn and practice 7 fundamental breathwork techniques. So there's a breathwork course involved in this. It's in the first week, just thrown in as part of it, because it's a fundamental that you get the breathing right if you're going to do the meditations that I'm going to guide you through. And then in weeks 2 to 6, we work through Course in Miracles text and the workbook, first 35 lessons of the workbook, first 5 chapters of the text. There's 12 exercises in the course manual, and we do holotropic breathing, which you saw how effective that was for Phil. So the dates and times. The next one is going to be starting early next year, Sunday the 3rd of January, in live meditations, Monday to Friday at 12:30 UK time. It's 2:30 SA time, and again in the evening, 4:30 UK time, 6:30 SA time. And the live discussions Sunday afternoons, which includes a meditation. So what tools are you going to get? I'll just talk briefly about these tools. You're going to get the Art of Letting Go course information exercise pack, which includes the 10-step letting go process, outline and the written worksheet. There's instructions for 5 shorter letting go processes for quick release. There's 2 documents to help you understand the theory of letting go better. There's a worksheet for the Name Your Game exercise. There's worksheets for the blueprint for your higher self and purpose exercises. There's 5 extra transformational mind training exercises. There's 12 pathways to higher consciousness. There's a map of consciousness to help you navigate the levels of your mind and be aware where you are on that scale. It's a daily schedule planner to help you structure your ideal day, and there's a lot of inspirational quotes, even some poetry. So there's a lot in there. It's a 50-page document. It's not just something you read, it's something you do. There's exercises, there's it's all very practical information. It's a summary of the best information that I've come across in the journey of 30 odd years of personal and spiritual growth. So I'd value that at £20 if I was selling it individually. There's the Letting Go Meditation Power Pack, as I mentioned, which is 1 hour, plus there's a 40-minute and a 30-minute version of it. So what Mike had to say, who did the first course, Model of Daily Meditation is a really good one, gets everyone really engaged, really helps to make you feel that you're completely immersed. I do think it's a fantastic process, sets you up brilliantly for the day. So that's the idea, it's just to start your day on the right note. Power Sleep Track, that will help you to sleep and get a much better night's sleep maybe than you used to. So that's what Patricia had to say about her experience of sleeping during the course. Woke up refreshed and a willingness to start a new day. Thank you for the course and finding it most helpful. So one recent study where a group of people meditated with the compassionate intent for just half an hour. Just trying to get rid of that. I don't know why this slide has suddenly appeared on there, but never mind. So really, this showed that this reduces people's negativity and their suffering over a period of eight weeks. They became more compassionate just by meditating for half an hour a day over a period of 8 weeks. And there's many other studies that confirm that regular meditation lowers stress levels, boosts immunity, and improves mental and physical health and well-being. Okay, so holotropic breathing. Holotropic breathing was awesome. This is what Martin had to say. So this is it's about an hour process. You do a specific breathing technique, and it really takes you into an altered state of consciousness. So that's Robin's experience. Thank you. She went to many events in her life, so you can go to past experiences. You can go into pre-birth experiences. You can go into past life experiences. Anything can happen in this, but it's a very powerful, transcendent, transformational experience, which you'll have right at the end of the course. So mind-blowing experience, as Joanne said, that's not an exaggeration. And then obviously it was Phil's breakthrough experience, which a holotropic breathing, as well as everything else, really was just a catalyst. So you'll get 6 weeks access to the Facebook group, which I've showed you. I post information on there regularly, as well as the weekly discussion sessions, recordings on there. So that's 6 weeks access to the Art of Letting Go Facebook group. Valued at £1 a day. You'll get 2 daily reminder emails to give you the lesson in the text, Course in Miracles to read every day, plus some really handy links to resources. So that's what Vim had to say about the emails. I appreciate it hugely. So the emails, really, it's pretty comprehensive. Everything you need to practice is in there. You don't need to buy the book. I include links and some of the direct text in there. So 2 daily reminder emails, £1 a day, and 4 audio recordings of short breath breaks or meditations to guide you through these breath breaks and meditations several times a day. As Nadia said, I love these reminders, extremely helpful. So the idea is to really interrupt your pattern. And she actually got one of them from me just as she was having a panic attack. So that really helped actually stop the panic attack. That's been amazing. So wherever you are, whether you're freaking out, having panic attacks, or you just want to calm down, be more in tune, more flowing, the idea is that these are little pattern interrupts during your day that help you to do that. And you're going to get 4 of them during the day. So value that at £160. And you're going to get about 80 hours of recorded discussion sessions. So that's video and audio. So you can just listen to the audio if you can't watch the video. I give you just the audio track. About 10 hours of live discussion sessions, about 30 hours of live meditation sessions. All in all, that comes to about 120 hours, which is available for you. You don't have to listen to it all, but you can really go deep and immerse yourself. There's a lot of content that's available. It's not just 1 or 2 hours a week. So there's an example of a Facebook group, and there's loads of stuff on there already. There's hundreds of hours of recordings. If you want to go and dive into the archives, you're most welcome to do that as well. So Mike says the course structure is great. I actually really like doing 2 calls a day. It's a different vibe in the 2, different people, and you gain a lot out of them. I think your teaching is very good. Thank you, Mike. I've invested a lot of study into it, able to discuss it at length with everyone, engage everyone. Do a great job of keeping the flow and finding an aspect to talk about. Many of your takes are very enlightening. Many do respect and impressed by your drive and teaching skills. I think your process is amazing and yielded great results for me. The in-core meditations are really amazing. Find your meditation practice intertwined with the course content really works well. Small guided meditations in the lesson often show me things I would not have picked up before. They give the space to view it differently. Most of all, I've really enjoyed being connected with people all over the world and hearing different perspectives from everyone, which is everyone enjoyed. As Vim said, it's a powerful dynamic in doing the course material together as a group, and that positive group energy is a key component of really raising your own energy and also holding you accountable. There's a sense of like, I'm in this with a group and I want to do this and I want to keep practicing because I'm not on my own. To do this and a process like this on your own would be very difficult, if not impossible, because you just wouldn't stick to it. So hence I've created a facilitated, guided, structured process to help you. So if you valued all of that at £10 an hour, £1,200, plus you get some bonuses. So as I said, there's loads of material that's available in the Art of Letting Go Facebook group. It's about 70 hours from the first Art of Letting Go trial course, and there are also a whole lot of subsequent sessions. I've done 47 club sessions, which are usually an hour, hour and a half to 2 hours each. That's all available in the Facebook group. And Robin said, she just download and listen to the audio each day en route to work. So it's a way that you can actually listen to these and really integrate into your day. You don't have to necessarily just sit and listen. You could be doing that while you're driving or working, shopping. And as she said, all the negative, stressful thoughts that used to preoccupy my mind are now not there. I'm listening and applying the ideas. So there's another example of what's available in the Facebook group. And as I said, there's loads and loads of archive material that you can dive into if what I send you during the course on email is not enough. And you're also going to get access to recorded meditation sessions. It's about 30 hours of recorded meditation sessions. 8-phase abundance, breath watching, relaxation, and life meditations. There's loads of those. And then there's an additional 3-month access to the Art of Letting Go Facebook group. And apart from the content I post, there's also content from people like Eckhart Tolle, some really interesting stuff. So there's a lot of value in that if you want to go. And then I'll give you 3 months additional access beforehand. So if you sign up now before the course, you can access the Facebook group for the next 2 months, as well as a month afterwards, just so you can go and review anything. So total value of all of that, add it all up, that comes to over £3,000. Normally, I'd charge £300 for that as a 90% discount, but I'm also offering a free trial discount, so that's a discount as well as a free trials and money back guarantee in there as well. I'll talk about that now. There's a 10% lockdown discount because we're still officially in lockdown. I know the UK has just gone into a hard lockdown again. Less an early bird discount valid until the end of November. So it's £97, which is a 97% discount to the value. And then there's a 1-year program. So if you wanted to look at doing a whole year and diving into that, you can continue this for an entire year. So the 6-week course, that's 3088. And if you continue over the year, you get live online meditations twice a day on weekdays, live discussion sessions, recorded meditations and breath breaks. You will get 1 email a day and a minimum of 2 recordings sent to you on email as well as WhatsApp every day. There's access to the Facebook group on an ongoing basis. And as I said, you get generally a couple of WhatsApp messages. So you valued all of that over the course of a year, that comes close to £10,000. You decide to go for the whole year. Normally I charge $927, which is a 90% discount, but I'm going to include the free trial discount, 10% lockdown discount, and early bird discount as well. So it comes to $397, which is about 96% discount to value, valid until the end of November as well. If you want to dive into the whole program, you don't have to, but there is a discount if you do that. You can just dip your toe in the water and do the 6-week course. Okay, so I'm just going to talk, I'm going to wrap it up the next 5 minutes, just talk briefly about some roadblocks. These are reasons why you may not want to do this. You're all familiar with that site, and these roadblocks come along in our mind as well. So if I can get the roadblock out the way, that would be good. There we go. So the first roadblock is I don't have the time. Well, you can watch an hour's less TV in the evening, go to bed an hour earlier so you can get up an hour earlier to meditate in the morning, and you can really integrate these key spiritual practices into your daily routine to make you more effective and productive. So for instance, taking the breath breaks when you need a break from work. Every hour, just take a few minutes time out, listen to the breath break. That should improve your productivity. It should make you calmer, more focused, and more productive in the next hour. Listening to discussion sessions, I mentioned that already, while doing other activities such as driving, eating, cooking, and walking. So I'm not ready for this might be another objection. And I'd say if you're over 30, that's really just an excuse to avoid taking responsibility for your own happiness, flow, fulfillment, purpose, and success. Because the truth is, no one else is responsible for these. No one else can do it for you. Not your wife, not your husband, not your boss. No one. Only you can do it for yourself. And I think we all start to realize that as we get older. And life will not last forever. 30 years go by very quickly. My sister has been trying to write a book for 30 years, and she still has not done it, which just shows you how very quickly 3 decades go by. Never mind 10 years, 30 years pass very quickly. And you'll have all the tools and the support you need to help you to do this. So you're not on your own. very difficult to undertake a transformational journey like this. You're really going to shift your pattern on your own. So these are a couple of quotes. You think you're not ready? A couple of quotes from the course. This is from the introduction of the course to the Course in Miracles. This is a Course in Miracles. It is a required course. What he's saying is only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. So the curriculum is set. Truth is there. It's established. And whether we like it or not, we're all learning that curriculum. Some more slowly, some more quickly. It's up to you when. The only choice you have is it's up to you when you want to learn it. So hopefully that's now for you. You won't delay it longer. And the Course says, this is from the preface to the Course in Miracles. Although it's Christian in statement, uses Christian terminology, it deals with universal spiritual themes. There's but one version of the universal curriculum. There are many others, this one differing from them only in form. They all lead to God, the eternal, the infinite, whatever you want to call that other reality in the end. Which brings me to another potential objection. I don't like the Christian and the masculine terminology. So it's written in the masculine and it uses Christian terminology like Christ and Holy Spirit and so on. So just some quotes, words about symbols of symbols twice removed from reality. That's quote from the Manual for Teachers of the Course in Miracles. So they're really just pointing you in the direction. They're symbols. And as the Alcoholics Anonymous big book says, do not let any prejudice you may have against so-called spiritual terms deter you from honestly asking yourself what they mean to you. And what I do is in the process of the meditations and the discussion sessions, I translate the Christian and the masculine terms into secular, genderless language. So there's another way of looking at it. Christ means your higher self, for instance. He is, instead of saying he, you say love. And I do that continuously. So I just sort of reinterpret some of those terms, which really don't get hung up on. They just point it to fundamental truths that are common to all spiritual traditions. Can't afford this financially, I mean. So well, what I'd say is it's your happiness, it's your life, your happiness, your flow, your success, your fulfillment, your purpose. If you don't invest in yourself, in your life, you're really saying that you're not worth it. And that is not a very good thing to say. You're devaluing yourself in doing that. And also I'll say that action is the most powerful form of affirmation. So if you actually take action, you say, yes, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to pay for the course. What you're telling yourself is that you're worthy of it, of all of it, which is part of the whole transformation process. So just getting to do the course and saying, I'm going to commit to this, I'm going to pay for it, is an important part of the course. And it also ensures that you value and pay attention to what you're learning. Because if it's free, it's so easy just to go, this is too much effort, I'm too busy, and so I'm not going to do it. You need to pay for this so that you value it in your own mind and you give it the time and attention that it's worth, that you're worth. Because only if you spend that time can you get the transformation effect. That's how it works. I can't do it for you. I can facilitate it, but I can give you the tools, but you have to spend the time. So you get a 3-week free trial voucher for this. I mentioned that in my early communications about it. So you can do it for 3 weeks. If you, at any point in the first 3 weeks, decide not to continue, well, no hard feelings, and it's cost you nothing. If you pay up front for it, you want to take advantage of the discounts, eBay discounts, you get a money back guarantee anytime within the first 3 weeks of the course. So I'll say that again. If you decide you'd rather not continue the course anytime in the first 3 weeks, I'll just refund you. And I've done that once. A lady called Reshma, who was very keen, but she actually, as I discovered a couple of weeks into the course, wanted to do this herself. She wanted to just read the text herself and do it in her own way as a self-study course, which is fine. This is a facilitated program. If you don't want a facilitated program, you want to study it yourself, then it's probably not going to work for you. But most people struggle to do the course entirely on their own. Almost everyone at some point seeks some kind of help, in the form of a teacher or a group or some kind of guidance online. They listen to online videos. All I've done is created a very guided, facilitated, structured process that will guide you through this immersion in A Course in Miracles and the teachings in a 6-week process. So you can do the first 3 weeks free, and you get the Letting Go Meditation Power Pack, the Art of Letting Go course manual, and 6 weeks access to the Art of Letting Go Facebook group free. No hard feelings. You get to keep those if you decide not to continue. You can also pay a £397 accountability deposit and do the entire course free. So what that means is, to qualify to get your deposit back, you need to do certain things: attend at least 5 live discussion sessions, attend at least 20 live meditations, complete all 12 exercises in the course manual, complete an online questionnaire, just getting your feedback after the course finishes, do a half-an-hour interview and a 5-minute video testimonial at the end of the course with me, which you're happy to let me use for marketing purposes. So if you're happy to do all of that and put down £397, then you can do the course free. So just to summarize, what makes this unique? It's based on the highest wisdom of the ages, which is the element of spirit, and the ultimate truth. It's about experiential immersion in a flow of key spiritual practices that will come to you as a stream every day and through the course of the 6 weeks. It's very much about this flow. Water is also about baptism, so the idea of immersing yourself in something, being baptized by the Spirit, comes into that. It's a structured, guided, and facilitated daily schedule. So that's the earth element. So there's a lot of guidance and structure to ground you into actually doing this. If you don't do it, it doesn't happen. Transformation doesn't happen. There's constant communication through daily email, WhatsApp, as well as live Zoom sessions. So that's the air element, communication. Fire is about the enthusiasm that gets generated through a group process. There's a lot of positive group energy. And also an accountability. If you're doing it with a group, then there's an accountability that comes in, and you're more likely to practice every day. I believe there's exceptional value for money. I haven't found anything that gives this much value for money. Most 6-week courses charge anywhere between $197 and $497, and they might have 20 to 30 hours of material in it. This has, as you saw, got over 100 hours of material, and if you really immerse yourself in it, you can spend easily 200 hours in that 6 weeks on the material that I provide. It's experiential through very unique meditations. So you won't find the meditations that I do on the course anywhere else. I basically translate the lessons into meditation, and I put it to music and sometimes some nature sounds, and those are unique. You won't find them anywhere else. It's also about your own personal experience. So instead of me just telling you these ideas and concepts, it's about actually starting to experience what the course is pointing to: the love, the peace, the joy, and so on. And it combines the best of both Eastern and Western spiritual paths. So there's intellect, there's understanding and knowledge, but there's also this deep meditation practice based on the yogic 8 limbs of yoga, as I showed you earlier. So I'm going to ask you, can you afford not to do this? Your happiness, it's your flow, it's your sense of higher purpose, your well-being, your thriving and true success. And they're really priceless. I put numbers to these things because we're dealing in this world, the material world, and money is a means of exchange, and it's necessary in this world. But actually, these things can't really be priced. So it's up to you what you think they're worth, whether you think paying the money is worth it. And I'm going to share this final quote. So to each, there comes in their lifetime a special moment when they are figuratively tapped on the shoulder and offered the chance to do a very special thing, unique to them and fitted to their talents. What a tragedy if that moment finds them unprepared or unqualified for that which could have been their finest hour. I think certainly now more than ever in our lives and human history, there's a call to step up, for people to become what they can really become. The world needs people who can step into their true power. If we're going to change, if there's going to be a change for the good in the world, it all starts with the individual. Individuals create collective change and shift. So this is just a little summary of the various options involved. So if you just want to do this yourself, £97 or 1,990 Rand. That's the total value of the course, and that's the discounted value. You can do it as a couple. That's an option. I'll give you a further discount on that, £175, 3,630 Rand for a couple to do it. There's a mastery course, which is everything you get in the standard course. Plus, there's 7 hours of one-to-one sessions, so personal coaching involved, and one session a week, and one prior to the course. So that's £297. If you want to do the mastery course as a couple, there's quite a big discount on that. And if you want to dive into the whole year's program, then you can pay £397 up front, or £697 for a couple. Those Rand amounts are 8,240 or 14,470. So Journey of 1,000 Miles begins with a single step. Lazi said that. If you'd like to do this, you can go to that URL. I'll send you the link tomorrow. Make a £56 saving on the standard course. Take Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover. You can also pay directly into my UK or South African bank account. Send you those details if you want to do that, and you can pay the £400, £397 deposit, do the course free, or if you want to include the 7 individual sessions, just let me know. Okay, so I think that brings me to the end. All I'll say, I'll leave you with that picture. It's from The Matrix. It's Morpheus sitting with Neo, and he's saying, "This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back." So it's really about which pill you choose to take, and which way you want to go. Take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland. I'll show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. And it would be my great honor to do that. So I hope you'll choose the red pill and not the blue one.